How are you doing? Get that volume just about right. If the music gets too loud, let me know. Otherwise, I'm glad to see everybody showing up today. This is actually episode 10. Can you believe I've done 10 of these now? 2.5 months. 10 of these. Today, we are doing linguini with clam sauce. This is one of my fond memories from growing up. This is one of my favorites that my mom made, and we would have it on occasion. It was just really good, really simple, and it wasn't until I was later in life I realized how simple this actually is. And yes, I know you've already kind of figured it out by now. Dave got a haircut. Went out this week, state of Arkansas, opened up hairdressers as long as you keep a mask on and they get contact information and all that other fun stuff. So I got to go out and number 3 on the back and the sides, 2 inches on top. I'm a happy guy. So I was getting a little bit shaggy and raggy, and I'm good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start working on this. Hey, Carl, how are you doing? So linguini with clam sauce, really easy. The two main parts here is you're doing, and just also let me know if the music's too loud. Let me know. It's cooking the pasta. That you can pretty much leave alone. While that's cooking, though, you're producing the clam sauce that's going to go with this. And like I said, really easy. All you're doing is just cans of clams in the clam juice. And so to get this all done, I'm going to go ahead and start up by turning on the water. I already have the pot filled for the pasta. I'm going to get that going and throw a little bit of salt in there. I don't always throw salt in there. Sometimes you can use salt, you can use a little bit of olive oil that'll kind of keep some of the bubbles down for the olive oil. For the salt, it just kind of adds a little bit more flavor to the noodles. For the sauce, though, I need to start out clove of garlic. And I've shown you this before. You take that, flat of the knife on the side of it, pop it hard. And what that does is that breaks off the husk of the clove. And so I'm going to go ahead and smash it down a little bit farther. And there you go, starting to go that way. I'm going to try and mince this. So I want that to be pretty small. That's a lot of garlic. That was a good sized bulb. Kind of like some of the elephant garlic back home. This recipe, though, one of the things that I always suggest to folks is, like I've been suggesting Betty Crocker Cookbook, and you can find that in most used bookstores. But the other, and I've talked about it before in other videos, I won't go into it in too much detail here. The other way, before the internet showed up, where a lot of us learned how to cook, was in stuff like this. These are, like every grade school, every church, every social group, a lot of communities had stuff like that. It was just chock full of recipes. So prior to the internet, 70s, 80s, up 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you could find those cookbooks from everybody's family, and there were always really good sources of recipes. Some of my favorite recipes in my entire life are in this particular cookbook. This was St. Mary's grade school. Oh, good Lord. This was Parents Booster Club. This was like 1982. It was really good stuff. So this is my mom's linguini with clam sauce recipe. So I've got the garlic ready. I'm going to start getting the clams ready now. So this is 2 cans of these clams, and I'll for change, I'll take a picture of the recipe later on and throw it in the comments. But for this, take the clams and pour the juice into a separate measuring cup. So I'm doing that right here. So I drain those. I'm going to do the other one. Because you're going to need to reserve all of this juice, because this juice is part of the sauce when you get done. You see there? All right. So I've got the clams reserved. I need now, let's see here, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I've got that going on. I'm going to now add the oil and start cooking up my garlic now that I've got the clams ready and the juice ready. So this is 6 tablespoons of olive oil. This is just over a half cup. So that's quite a bit of oil, but it's a goodly amount of oil. I'm going to put that on about medium-high heat. Throw this in the sink. And then, in case you're wondering, we are not sponsored today. I'm just still wearing just kind of a slightly brand new t-shirt. It's still kind of one of those things. If you want to sponsor any of these episodes, send me a brand new t-shirt from whatever it is you want me to do. I'll talk about it for the entire 20, 30, 40 minutes that I'm on, and we'll do our thing. Let's see. So I've got the garlic is coming up. Sorry, the oil is warming up. I'm going to... One little trick to know whether or not the oil is hot enough to put stuff into. A couple drops of water or something like that on the tips of your fingers. Slip it into the oil. And about the time that it starts bubbling, you'll know it's hot enough. But while that's going, I also know I need to get ready for another thing. Haven't cracked my usual beer yet because I am using a bottle of white wine for this recipe. Finally, Dave's cooking with alcohol. And so while I'm just sitting here watching the water, just wait until it's fully up. Watching the oil, just up. The oil's finally starting to get there where I need it to be. And you know what? I'm gonna. There we go. Yeah, I can smell the oil, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw the garlic in. A little bit of sizzles that went in. Let's see. And the water is up. I hope everybody's having a good day today. There we go. Linguini is in. Using whole wheat linguini today. I'm going to drop that temperature down a little bit. Take care of my splash. Great thing about this stovetop is the cooktop itself doesn't actually produce heat. It just heats up whatever's sitting on it. Oh, I just turned that whole thing off. Let's get that back down to there. Let's get that back up. All right, so it's going. That's ready to go. Now what I'm going to do here is, now that I've got that done, I'm going to add the clam juice. That was about a cup of clam juice, and I'm going to be doing a 1/4 cup of the wine. There we go. Well, I'm just a mess today trying to get this stuff done. All right, so I'm going to have with that, I'm going to get this up to a boil, and I'm going to boil that until it starts foaming, and I'm going to wait for the foam to disappear. So, and since I've got the wine open, might as well have a little bit of wine. There we go. There we go. I don't know what was going on over here with the pasta. But anyway. So right now, I don't know if you can see it. You should be able to see just a little bit that there's foam coming up out of the sauce. it's foaming up. I'm going to keep that going until the foam stops. And so now while this is going on, I'm going to take the, I'm going to let that boil until the foam goes away, at which point I'm going to take it off the heat. And I'm going to, while that's going on, I'm going to start taking this time to start prepping one of the things I'm going to do as a side that I did not include here, and that's going to be making some garlic bread. Now I've got all the crazy stuff done. I am going to start cutting some garlic bread. And so we are just having another exciting day of it. I hope everybody else is staying safe and happy and healthy. 3, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, we'll go ahead and call that good. We are trying to stay safe in here. I was at Walmart this morning, and the people there are nuts. Nobody's paying any attention to the direction to travel on the floor. Half the people there weren't wearing masks. I was getting kind of concerned, but we are trying to stay safe, and we're trying to stay away from stuff, but I want the United States to be able to reopen, but I don't trust most of the people who are wanting it to reopen. But so, if you follow me on Facebook at all, you know my feelings on that. So, anytime I make garlic bread, I know like you can sit there and you can actually use real butter and do that, but I don't tend to use real butter when I make garlic bread, simply because I don't want to tear up the bread that I'm cooking. And so something like Country Crock is always a really good solution. And it allows you to butter everything up and get a flavor. Great medium for the garlic that I'm going to sprinkle onto here. And the sauce is still bubbling away. This right here is the happy spot of this, where normally I would be just hanging out and drinking wine. But now I'm prepping more stuff. So, let's see here. Now I've got that. Where's my garlic? I'm going to use the garlic powder for this. Make sure I use the right one. Maybe not liberally sprinkle, but healthy sprinkle of garlic on everything. And then something I do on occasion is I also will do a little bit of basil. And I'm just going to set that aside until later on when I'm ready for it. I'm going to have this in the broiler ready to go. All I have to do is broil that for a minute or so. It'll be nice and toasty on top and chewy inside, and I'll be ready to go. All right. As I knock half the stuff out of the cabinet. I don't know what in the world's going on today. All right, so sauce is still going. Pasta is going. Probably can use a stir. All right. And so what this is doing is it's just basically just boiling off the alcohol. It is infusing the flavor and making it stronger. And by reserving that liquid, makes it a much stronger flavor than you normally would have. So that's always a good thing to have in anything. Anytime I ever get a chance to cook with something, if it's a sauce, just let it go a little bit long. make the flavors a little bit stronger, especially if there's a lot of water content, especially if there is alcohol that you're using. You can cook that a little bit longer, and it just makes a much stronger flavor. And so now while this is going, I am waiting for that to disappear. I'm waiting for the linguine to finish up, and the linguine it's about halfway there. So then once this is done with the foam, and it's about all ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and add the clams. I'm going to go ahead and add some parsley to it. I'm going to add just a little bit of ground pepper to it, and then I'm also going to add one of my favorite things is a little bit of whole cream. You throw that in right at the very end, you stir it in, and it just makes it perfect. So, otherwise, I hope everybody is having an awesome Saturday. I know this is Memorial Day weekend. I know we would normally all have plans that we want to do, but for us, we are staying home. We might maybe go find a trail to hike on Monday. I don't know, but right now we are very much satisfied being safe and sound at home and not coming into contact with anybody who's got the cooties, because there are a ton of people out there right now with cooties. My wife got into it with a person associated with her side of the family who he believes the whole thing is just fear and propaganda. And while I understand that there's a healthy amount of whatever going on, he's blaming it all on the media, and he's one of a number of folks who acts like this is all just a big conspiracy to threaten the president's chances in the election. I'm like, well, there certainly are killing a whole bunch of people around the world to do this conspiracy. So, all right, I'm gonna call that good. I'm gonna take that off the heat. You know what? I might, here in a bit, I might actually add just a little bit more water to that. But that's essentially olive oil, garlic, and wine. And so that's nice, strongly flavored sauce. Well, that's not any good. A bunch of pasta decided it didn't want to stick together in there. I'm going to break some of that up. Like, well, you don't want to do that sometimes. Let me get that heat back up a little bit, get a little more of a rolling boil. So, if anybody has a, one of the best things I ever bought was this particular pasta cloth. If anybody has an IKEA anywhere around them, they've got some amazing kitchen tools that are in there for dirt cheap. There we go. Just kind of breaking up some of that stuff. There's some really good stuff at IKEA that is not furniture, that is just some amazing technology and cheap, well, I shouldn't say cheap, inexpensive materials for your house. We have our USB adapter that we use here in the kitchen. We got that at IKEA. But at this point, I'm just rambling. So, hey, Joanne. So let's see here. The pasta is getting there. I'm going to do a taste test of one of these. I think I've got a few more minutes left. There we go. Oh, we're about there. I'm going to put this on for another minute. So the whole thing with the pasta, the problem with linguine and then fettuccine to a certain point, hey Carol, the problem with linguine and fettuccine to a certain point is because it has a wider, more uneven cross-section. It cooks slightly differently than things like spaghetti or like any of the rounder, like the round, or just like where you've got the full surface that's even all the way around. And so linguine tends to cook a little bit longer, fettuccine longer than that. But I mean, part of it is just trying the whole thing of al dente and which side of that you want to be on ends up being kind of weird because the amount you need to cook it, it can go real sideways real fast. So anyway, so I've got the pasta's about done. I've got the sauce sitting right here, ready to start back up. I'm about ready to do another tester here. About ready to check one of these. Yeah, it's just about ready. So I'm going to take the pasta, I'm going to throw it, and I'm going to drain it, and then toss a little bit of butter in. So it says butter. I usually throw in a little bit of olive oil instead, just so it doesn't stick together. Once that gets back into the pot, I'm going to finish off the sauce by adding the clams to it. Remember these 2 cans of clams? I'm going to add these to them, and then cook that down just a little bit. Pour it over the linguine, and then toss it all together, and it'll be ready to go. While I'm tossing that, I already have bread, garlic bread, that's sitting in the broiler ready to go at a moment's notice. But again, this is a really easy thing. I started barely 15 minutes ago. And for those of you who are just popping into this, there were some fits and starts at the beginning of this. Okay, pasta is going into the colander. Pasta is in the colander. Let's get that wiped off because I know there's some water that had gotten over earlier. And now that that's in there, shake a little bit of the excess water out of the spaghetti. Take my olive oil, a little bit of olive oil on the bottom, toss that in, a little bit of olive oil on the top, my handy dandy IKEA pasta fork, just to make sure that that gets tossed and so the noodles don't all stick together. All right, and that's good. Now to start the heat back up on the sauce. All right. Hope everybody's still having a good day. Let's see. Once that gets back up to a little bit of heat, I'm going to go ahead and throw the clams in. And then stir that up a little bit, and then toss them over the linguine. Because you really don't have to cook a whole lot. Because clams, and like any other seafood, you cook them too long and they start to just get chewy and nasty, and you really don't want that. And if you have a seafood allergy, I am very sorry. Because this is an awesome dessert, an awesome dinner. The main thing that you're looking at here is you want to get them covered. You only want them in here for a couple of minutes to take on the heat, cook them through just a little bit. It's just like any other thing, like scallops or shrimp. I've seen people take shrimp and cook shrimp for like, oh, good Lord. Like I've seen people cook shrimp for like 5-10 minutes in a skillet. And unless you're just on very, very, very low heat for the entire time, that's not the way to do it. Because all that does is that makes your shrimp chewy. All right, there we go. I'm going to call that good. Take that over there. And while that's slowly seeping through, I'm going to go ahead and start the broiler back here. And then turn the timer on for about 2 minutes and just see what happens. There we go. So, I have this set and ready to go. As the computer troll closes the door and goes into hiding. Now, let's see. All right. And so this is parsley. I never give anybody a hard time for using any amount of dried parsley, dried basil, dried any of that stuff, because honestly, how many of us have time to, you can make the time and take the time to grow your own spices and do things like that you wish to do. All right, and now that that is mixed in, we should have done this really right before the sauce finished off, but I can do this right here as well, is a little bit of cream, because all of this stuff is still hot, it'll all still cook it up. Just a hint of cream right at the very end there. You can also probably get away with Parmesan cheese, something similar like that, just to thicken it up, put a little bit extra zing into it, make it a little bit richer flavor. But sounds awesome, Anne-Marie. I'll actually, unlike usual, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post the picture of this recipe in the comments after I get done with this today, because this is one of those things that, unlike most of the recipes I've done that have been out of Betty Crocker, this one is not out of Betty Crocker. This one is out of the St. Mary's Cookbook circa 1982. So anybody from Taylorville, you might be able to find it in a used bookstore there someplace or in somebody's estate sale. Oh, perfect. Oh, just about. Yeah, it's just starting to crisp up on the top. A little bit of garlic bread. Crispy up on the top, just starting to brown up a little bit, but if you get inside, it'll be nice and chewy, not a briquette. And with that, I believe I am done, and I'm ready to start plating this stuff up for everybody here, because I know at least myself and Heidi and I are waiting for this. And then my son also enjoys this particular recipe, so this is another good one to do. I would love to see if anybody has any questions. Again, this is straightforward. It's olive oil, garlic, the clams in the just essentially in clam juice and like store in water, not in oil. White wine, parsley. I mean, that's really the only things I'm throwing in as extras are a little bit of some whole cream added to the sauce, which I should have done while it was still cooking, but that's absolutely fine. It'll be a nice, rich, strong sauce. And it is very easy to prepare compared to some of the things that are out there. And here I'm done. I've got all of this. The only thing I need to do is throw on some veg, and I'm ready to go. And it hasn't even been 25 minutes on this. Like if I made cheeseburgers or if I made something else, like anything else, there's people out there making hamburger helper, taking just as long and screwing up their meal. And so we're able to go through and do this. Like with a lot of the recipes I've talked about, I want to do something that's not very hard to do, doesn't take a long time. And for a lot of us, it's stuff that we have in our cupboards, especially since, especially right now, since meat prices are going up as much as they are. Prices aren't going up on the seafood. Prices are right where they're at, and they're getting processed right now, so it's not too much of an issue. But that and the stuff that's in tins, like I said, these are canned clams. You can get those and just let them sit on the shelf as long as you want to. Yeah, it's just I don't even think the only salt that I added to this was in the pasta when I was boiling it. There's some salt that's in the clams and in the butter, but the clams. That's about it. So it's really easy. You get to control what goes in, and this is one of those things you can modify it a little bit if you do or don't like things. You could probably throw in stuff like mushrooms into it if you wanted to. There's just other stuff you could play around with. You can do instead of the clam sauce like I have here, you can do a little bit of a red clam sauce, which is a little bit of tomato sauce added in instead of, like, do a little bit of tomato sauce and whole cream towards the end. But that ends up, so if you like tomato-based stuff, you can kind of get into that. There's a lot of different ways you can play with this. But if you go back through and play the whole recipe and just kind of watch how it goes, it's an easy thing. You can go through, you can get your stuff knocked out. Beyond that, I'm glad everybody had a chance to stop in. Again, today was not sponsored. I did find a shirt that I haven't worn too much, so it doesn't look old, but I've had this for about a year now. If there's anything that, if you would like to see me sponsor your particular thing, throw me a t-shirt, and I will talk about whatever your business is, whatever your thing is. So far, I've done Memorial Medical Center from Central Illinois, where I grew up, the big hospital network that's there. I've done Reborn Artwear for my friend Melody, who's there in the chat right now. I've done the Buffalo, Wyoming, how can I not remember the name of the hotel that's there? The hotel in Buffalo, Wyoming. I'm trying to remember it. I cannot remember it right now. But I did that a few weeks back. And so if you want to sponsor an episode, throw me a t-shirt. I will proudly wear your t-shirt here during the course of the recording and talk about whatever your thing is. Beyond that, I will very happily dispense any sort of opinions about coronavirus and how people are not taking it seriously enough, and they need to continue to take it seriously. They need to wear masks, and when they're around other people, they need to maintain social distancing. They need to maintain an awareness of the number of people around them who do not understand or believe or support any of these changes. I want us to reopen, but we are not going to be able to do it if you've got people walking around protesting, wearing of masks, if you have people walking around ignoring distance limits. I had people this last week trying to shake my hand, and I'm just kind of like, I don't do that anymore, as much as I would love to. Until there's a vaccine and until we get all this stuff knocked out, I'm not shaking hands, I'm not hugging people, and for anybody who knows me, I'm a hugger, and so we've got that. So until then, if anybody has a question, if you've got a request for something for me to cook in the future, if you have something that you want to see me do, if there's something that you suck at in the kitchen and you want to see how I do it in the kitchen, I am not a chef. I'm not professional by any means, but I am more than happy to say that I'm darn good in the kitchen and I've got a pretty bad set of skills. So I'm more than happy to do this. If you've got something you want me to do, I am more than happy to do that. Otherwise, I hope everybody has an amazing Memorial Day weekend. I hope everybody is safe and healthy by the time you get out of it. And I hope everybody stays safe and well in their regular lives beyond this. Have a great day, and I'm going to go and eat my food now. I will talk to you all later. Take care. Bye-bye.